Eric Goll here. Today I want to spend some time talking openly and honestly about a question many families ask. What is a group home? And is a group home the right fit for my loved one with a disability? I know these are big questions and they often come with a lot of emotion and concern, so I want to break it down in a clear, straightforward way for you to help guide you forward. So simply put, a group home is a building or a living environment where multiple adults who need support live together under the same roof. And when we talk about group homes for adults with developmental disabilities, I define a group home as two or more individuals placed together under the same roof. Now, there are three main types of group homes for adults with developmental disabilities that you should know about. First are agency or government-run homes. These are probably the most common. Typically, you'll find 3 to 6 beds in these homes, and they often have 24 staffing. These homes often come with strict rules and regulations and oversight, which typically creates an institutional environment rather than a home-like environment. Now, I understand for many families, the promise of constant staffing, it offers some of that immediate peace of mind, but it comes with compromises. And I'll talk about some pros and cons to group homes in just a moment. Second, there are private run group homes. Now, these are often run by for-profit organizations where families pay for services directly. There tends to be less oversight here compared to government run group homes, which can sometimes mean that corners are cut with living conditions and possibly even safety. This is something families have to watch closely because less regulation, unfortunately, can lead to poorer living environments. The third type of group home is a family-run group home. So if we go back to the 60s and 70s when large institutional buildings that hosted hundreds of people with developmental disabilities started to shut down slowly, and there still exist today and they still continue to be shut down, but as people were leaving those large institutions, families began bringing their loved ones with disabilities together in these group homes under one roof. This offers shared support, but it's important to understand the impact that these environments can still have. These family-run homes still meet the definition of a group home. Why? Because even in a family-run home or group home, multiple people with disabilities live together and they share supports. And there's often this loss of individuality, loss of control, privacy, and often the living environment unintentionally becomes institutionalized. Plus, when those primary family members or caregivers pass away or can no longer manage that family-run group home, government tends to step in, taking over responsibility, including ownership and staffing, and it just leads into a government-run group home. If you want a deeper look at what life is like inside of group homes for adults with disabilities, I have another video that dives deeper into those daily realities. So if you go below here in the notes, you can get that video and go deeper there. Is a group home the right choice for your loved one with a disability? Let's look at the pros and the cons. On the pro side, group homes typically offer around-the-clock staffing, and that can feel like a safety net, especially when your energy as a caregiver is running low, or when worries mount about who will be there for your loved one when you die or you can't be there for them. Now, your loved one typically isn't alone in a group home, and there's often help with daily tasks like self-care, cooking, and cleaning, and I understand that this can ease some worries. But I want you to consider the cons because they're significant. Many group homes, even when they look like a regular home or house on the outside, are institutional living environments. Your loved one's forced to share that house with multiple strangers, all who have different needs. Sometimes there's over-medication that's used to help keep things calm inside of that house, which is heartbreaking. There's a loss of daily control, a loss of identity of your loved one, and often isolation from genuine relationships outside of that house that make life meaningful. Growth and independence can stall and even stop. And there's high staff turnover. It's common for there to be a 50% turnover in staff annually, which can hurt consistency and the quality of care your loved one gets. Now let's talk about safety in group homes. Abuse happens too often. The National Council on Disability found that 1 in 6 adults with developmental disability experiences some form of abuse in group residential settings, whether it's physical, emotional, financial, or sexual abuse. And 40 to 50% of group homes struggle with not enough staff, which drives additional issues. So when you consider what it's like to live in a group home, it's not what anyone would really consider a home. So what's the alternative? The good news is that a group home is not the only option. I want to encourage you to think about the ordinary ways that people live, that everybody lives, whether it's in an apartment, maybe with roommates, shared houses, maybe a secondary unit within the family home, within close-knit communities, close to relationships. Which of these could possibly be a fit for your loved one? I want you to consider those alternatives. Then you need to think about the right mix of supports for your loved one that they might need. And that can be paid support, but not just paid support. It could be family help. It could be friends, a support circle, supportive technology, supportive roommates. This can create a home, not an institution. And when creating a life plan with families, we work to create the best, most ordinary home possible for your loved one with a disability. If your loved one has a home of their own, they have more control. Their home reflects their choices, their life, and helps them live their best life. They can maintain and deepen relationships, grow skills, and thrive. And your family gains more control too. The ways to influence what a good life looks like for your loved one. This is what I help families explore. It often starts with a customized life plan that maps out hopes and needs and practical next steps. If this sounds like a place you want to start, go ahead and download your free copy of the Life Planning 101 guide below here. And it's a great way to take a step forward without overwhelm and more hope for a positive future for your loved one with a disability. I'm Eric Goll. Together, let's take a small step forward.